Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, this is Jan. Welcome to another episode on the Save Money and More with Jan channel. How you doing today? I decided to create a video. First of all, a wonderful, absolutely happy Father's Day to all the dads out there today. And of course, prayerful thoughts for the dads who are no longer with us. My goodness gracious, we miss our dads, and for those that have your dads around, I know you will appreciate this wonderful, wonderful day. Hopefully, hopefully, hopefully. As I mentioned earlier, and if you missed yesterday's show, Steve and I give seven frugal, really realistic frugal tips that work. If you haven't seen it, I strongly suggest to go back to yesterday's show. What should have taken about half hour of our time to make took us about 3 hours because there was a technical issue on StreamYard and it was so frustrating. So, StreamYard, if you're listening, please avoid these issues. We're paying for you. Anyway, excuse me. Thanks for being here this morning. Um, so I want to mention to you, remember I mentioned for those that watched the video yesterday, I briefly touched upon how I enjoy recipes that are of very little or small ingredients. And even if you try them out as an experiment, you're not going to be losing or wasting any ingredients if it doesn't turn out the way you may have thought it would. But in this case, I want to talk to you this morning about the ice milk recipe that I briefly touched upon yesterday. So, right after I had an opportunity, after Steve and I recorded the show, I said, I want to try this. So I did. I modified it a little to the original one, size wise, and I also added something a little extra to mine. So, if you look on the thumbnail, okay, what might look to some people like a mashed potato sitting inside of some mashed potatoes sitting inside of a spoon. No, 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 no. That is not mashed potatoes. That is the ice milk recipe. I don't have an ice cream maker. Okay. And the beauty part is that for this recipe, guess what? Don't need an ice cream maker. But let me tell you a couple of things that I did. All right. All right. So the recipe ingredients, this is what the bare bones of the recipe is, which is what I love about it. All you need is milk, okay? It doesn't even say the fat content of the milk. You can use any fat content, all right? So I happen to have, okay, not that it's my totally favorite one, but I happen to have low fat, or was it 1%? So I had some of that. So just sharing what I actually did. All right. Because like Dawn, I'm the type I like to keep things real. Okay. So I had the low fat one, but I'll explain it to you how it turned out. So here's what you need: milk. Okay. And the recipe calls for 4 cups. 4 cups of milk, 1 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. That's it. No rocket science, no elaborate ingredients. Probably, I would venture to guess that almost everyone, not everyone, but I would say about at least 90% of anyone listening probably has every ingredient that I just mentioned. Okay? Milk, sugar, vanilla extract. Yeah, 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 yeah. And kudos for the person that whoever that was that came up with that idea in general in life. So I understand that ice milk has been around actually quite a long time. And actually, in my childhood, I remember like there was a time they would sell it like in the grocery store, like the little mom and pop stores and those little ice cream, little freezers. You pick them out and spend 25 cents or whatever it was, and you got your ice milk. It was really, really good. They had different flavors. They had strawberry, vanilla, and chocolate. I do remember that. I actually do remember that. At least here in the New York area. I totally remember that. But now let's dial it ahead, push it ahead to 2024. But the idea is still great. Let's think about this. The idea of putting simple ingredients together, always a money keeper, working with simple ingredients. All right. So here's what I did: I tweaked mine up a little bit. All right. But I'd have to tell you, delicious. It was just so delicious. How delicious it turned out. All right. So in my case, because I didn't want to use 4 cups of milk, you know. So instead, in my case, this is what I did, but it worked for me. I took, all right, and it also depends on the container that you're pouring the ingredients in. All right. So I had one of those typical food saver listen to me, ingredient, food saver, food saver container. Okay. I had one of those typical size of the food saver container, like let's say where you would put maybe leftover, piece of lasagna or leftover baked, food saver. So I used the typical food saver, average size, not teensy, not huge, average. All right. I filled it up with 8 ounces of milk. I did everything inside of, by the way, inside that one container. So there's like not even a mess. It's a joke. This is so simple. It is not even fun. It's actually humorous. So I poured the milk into that. So for the 8 ounces of milk that I used, okay, I didn't use a cup of sugar. No, 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 no. I didn't want to use a cup of sugar. So what I did, to be honest, I eyeballed it. I put in a couple of tablespoons in there, and then when it was to taste, you taste it to see if you like it. If you need a little more, start off with less sugar. Okay. You could always add to, but you cannot take from a recipe. So that's the way I worked it. And of course, I anytime in a recipe. I don't know if you do this, but my mother taught me this a million years ago because her mother taught it that, my grandmother. And probably I'll go venture to guess that great grandma did the same thing. All right. What we would do, instead of getting like a tablespoon thing or whatever, what we would do is just measure it out from the cap full, from the cap, from the vanilla extract cap. So I would pour the vanilla in the cap, and that was my unit of measure. I've always done this. And does anybody out there still do that? Take the top cap off of their vanilla extract and pour the extract in that. So in my case, I love the taste of vanilla. I really, really do. So I said, that's what I'm going to do. So I poured the vanilla extract in the cap, and then I poured that into the ingredients. Again, I reiterate, in my case, because I wanted a smaller size portion. Okay. I took 8 ounces of milk. I would venture to guess probably a couple of 1 to 2 tablespoons of the sugar, test it out to see how you like the sweetness level, and a cap full of vanilla extract. Yeah, there goes the bird clock again. Oh my word. Somebody mentioned to me recently on the comment section that they would love it to hear me laughing with the bird clock going off and saying, just saying. I would love to do all that, but it's kind of hard to coordinate. But thank you for the thought. I appreciate it. So anyway, let's go back to I digress. I digress. So the original recipe requires 4 cups of milk, 1 cup of sugar, and says one teaspoon, okay, of vanilla extract. The if you want to try it out for yourself to see if you like it recipe, which was my version, was 8 ounces of milk, 1 capful of vanilla, and I would say probably about two 2 tablespoons, close to 2 tablespoons or a little less of sugar. You have to taste it for yourself. Taste the mixture. That's the beauty part. You can taste the mixture. No, and you can't drink it. You actually have to freeze it. Now let's talk about freezing for a minute. So I don't have an ice cream maker. So what I did, I put mine in the freezer in that food saver that can be freezable. Okay. I put mine in the freezer. I would say that I popped it in the freezer around, let me get it right. I would say I put it in the freezer about 1:30 p.m. And I took it out because I was dying to try it about 4:30 p.m. Same day, 3 hours. For me, it was the perfect consistency. For me, it comes out like a slush. like, like a slushy feel. It's not, I didn't want a frozen iceberg, okay? Now, I think like in some recipes, it probably asks you to scrape it and put it back and scrape it. I didn't want to be bothered with that. So now I know that on the day that I want to make this, which is so easy, it isn't even a joke, that I would just allow about 3 hours prior and pop it in the freezer. For me, Janet, that was my favorite. Now, if you want to do extra research and find this out and like to try it, like I said, very inexpensive ingredients. Now, oh, here's the twist of what I did. So I forgot to mention this, and I'm sorry about that. So I did use like regular low fat milk, but in addition to that, what I did to enrichen it, I took I had like a packet of non-fat dry milk powder. I added it to the mixture. Now, the original recipe does not call for anyone to do that, but I said, I want to see what happens. So it gave it a very richer taste. So I don't know if that's my imagination or I was just so thrilled to do that. So let's go back to the Janet version again. All right, Janet version, 8 ounce of milk, like actual milk, already real milk. 8 ounces of milk, cap full of vanilla, about 2 tablespoons of sugar. Test the flavor. Maybe you want less, start small and then see gradually check it. That's up to you. You have to like eyeball it and you have to taste it. Okay. But in addition, I added a packet of non-fat dry milk powder just to see if it would, do anything. So I put it in 3 hours. I loved it. I had a ball with it. So now I'm wondering, I don't know. I have no clue if it would work with, let's say for folks that want sugar free. I have no clue. I didn't do it with sugar free. So anybody that wants to try it, with their favorite, sweetener to see if it works, I have no clue. I don't know. Now, another point I want to mention. I was goofing about my birthday yesterday. What I meant by 12:05, finally StreamYard worked. 12:05 is the month and the day of my birth, December 5th. No, it's not. It was not June 15th, but thank you, well wishers who wished me happy birthday today. I mean, yesterday for that. That was so sweet. That was so sweet. It was a stupid goof on my part about 12:05. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the way it works on that. Well, I really hope that you try this one day for the fun of it. Oh, wait, before I forget, Rhoda Stone wrote a comment. She wrote a really smart comment about incorporating yogurt into that recipe and chocolate powder. One thing about Rhoda, no one has recipes like Rhoda does because and even also Dawn, also from Sensible Living with Money Mom. Those two channels, please. I'm sure if you have not heard of it, which is possible, please head on over to both channels because they come up with these like amazing recipes. Thank you, Rhoda, for that with the yogurt idea. And recently, Sensible Living with Money Mom showed a whole bunch of like batch cooking ideas that she did. So check that out. And for those that regularly watch her, in case you missed it, I strongly suggest you head over onto their channel. So anyway, happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. Happy Father's Day in heaven, dear earthly father who is now in heaven. And of course, our Father who is always in heaven. For without our Father in heaven, I wouldn't be having this conversation. Have a great day, everybody.